Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us on this fine Thursday afternoon. Welcome once again, and thank you for joining us at our Spire Live webinar. Today, we'll be talking about India's e-commerce logistics industry. And leading the topic would be Saurabh, who's Spire's country director. And I'll let him introduce the rest of the panel. Take it away, Saurabh.
Thanks a lot, Marie. Welcome, everyone. So let me quickly introduce myself and the other panel members. So I'm Saurabh Sharma. I'm country director with Spire India. So I'm working with Spire for the last 8 years and have worked with multiple international as well as domestic clients. I'm joined by my colleague Vinita Nath. Vinita is working with us from 2016, and she has been managing projects across Southeast Asia. We also have Piyush Agarwal with us from Snapdeal. So Piyush has more than 10 years of experience, and he's working with Snapdeal from the last 5 years in supply chain management role. So thanks again, everyone. So today is going to be an interesting webinar. So we would be talking about e-commerce logistics and e-commerce sector, which is one of the fastest growing sector in India of the last decade. So I'll start sharing my screen. Okay, so I presume everyone is able to see your screen. So today we would be talking about 5 topics. So I will talk about overview of Indian logistics and e-commerce and recent trends and developments. My colleague Vinita will talk about industry challenges and key players in this sector. And Piyush will talk about impact of COVID-19 on this industry. So logistics market has been growing in double digits over the years. In 2018, the market size was USD 160 billion, and it's expected to reach around 215 billion US dollars in 2020. So which is a growth of 16% in the last 2 years, and it's further expected to grow at a CAGR of 18% to reach USD 500 billions in 2025. So on the left bottom, you will see the share of the cost. So for developed country, share of logistics cost as a percentage of GDP stands somewhere around 7%. And in India in 2018, this particular cost was at 14%, which is double than that of the developed countries. So this shows there are a lot of things that we still need to resolve to streamline the logistics in India. As of now, we are targeting to reduce this cost to around 10% by 2022. So there's a huge opportunities which are there in this sector to get this cost down to around 7% by year 2030. So India's warehousing space requirement is also increasing. In 2019, we had 68 million square meter worth of warehousing space, and it's expected to reach around 86 million square meter by 2024. So some of the key sectors which are playing a key role in the logistics, one of them, major one, is automotive components, which is at 26% of the market share, followed by cars and utility vehicles, which is at 17%. And e-commerce in 2018 was at 16%, and 2 and 3 wheelers at 13%, and remaining is between organized retail and consumer durables and FMCG. So e-commerce, which in 2018 was at 16%, is expected to reach around 28% in 2025. The share of e-commerce could very well be the largest in overall logistics in the years. As we discussed earlier, the cost of logistics in India is still very significantly high. One of the key reasons for that is that we are relying very much still on the road as a mode of transportation. The road contributes 60% as a mode of transportation between overall logistics. So road, which is at INR 3 per ton, which is 3 times more expensive than coastal and 2 times more expensive than rail transportation. So as we discussed earlier, it is something that we still need to work upon to ensure to bring down our costs of logistics. On the right-hand side, we'll talk about the share of industries in the warehousing. So third-party logistic players, which had traditionally been one of the biggest contributor in, were at 29% in 2017, and they jumped to 36% in 2018. E-commerce saw the biggest jump from 15% to 24%. Other sectors such as manufacturing were either stagnant or retail, which reduced from 16% to 11%, and others reduced from 19% to 8%. So a lot of reduction in retail's warehousing space requirement is very much directly related to e-commerce, because a lot of retail shopping is happening through e-commerce channels, and increasing the market share of e-commerce and decreasing the market share of the retail. So Express Logistics, which primarily caters to e-commerce logistics shipments, is expected to grow at a CAGR Express Logistics at a market share of $2.8 billion and expected to be reaching at $9 billion in 2025. So Express Shipments is the one which is primarily managing shipments for e-commerce industries, because it is responsible for getting the shipments to end customers within 24 to 72 hours. We'll talk a little bit about the shipments which are managed. So around 50% of shipments which are managed by logistics weigh less than 2 kilograms. And 2 to 5 kg packages contribute around 30%, and more than 5 kg packages are at around 20%. I'll give an overview of overall e-commerce industry. So as I earlier shared in the introduction, the size of e-commerce industry is something that has been growing at a huge rate. So between 2014 to 2018, there was a jump of 37% to reach to USD 50 billion market size. And it's expected to still continue to grow in double digits at 13% to reach $64 billion market size. So this market is primarily dominated by two key players. One is Flipkart and second is Amazon. They jointly hold a market size of 63%. Remaining 37% of the market size is with other players. So some of the factors which has been the key reasons for this growth in this e-commerce sector is internet users. So internet users grew at 21% between 2016 to 2019 to reach 295 million to 525 million. Similarly, the smartphone users have also grown at 14% between 2016 to 2019. Another key factor is the very low cost of data. So in India, the cost of data per GB is significantly lower than both emerging markets as well as the developed countries. So in comparison to emerging markets like Indonesia, it's still at around 25%. And in comparison to developed countries, there's a huge difference. When talking about the reduction that this internet pricing has seen between 2014 to 2019, you'll see at the right bottom that we saw a reduction of 93%. In 2014, the cost per GB of data was $3.78 per GB. And as of now, it's at $0.26 per GB. Another factor which is going to be playing a key role is the smartphone penetration, which in 2018 stands at 26%, and it's expected to be 36% in 2022. So now I'll basically hand over to my colleague Vanita. Vanita will talk about the e-commerce logistics and some of the growth drivers. So Vanita, to you now.
Hi everyone, thank you Saurabh. So I primarily will be covering the e-commerce logistics. As shown in your screen, in 2018, e-commerce retail sales were largely made up of low involvement and reliable products such as electronics and apparels. They both had a combined market share of 77% by value. More than 50% of these e-commerce shipments are currently in metro cities and tier 1 cities. These cities see over 1 million shipments on a daily basis. So here we have categorized metro cities as the ones with more than 1 million population. Tier 1 cities is the one with more than 1 lakh population, and tier 2 and below cities are the cities with population below 1 lakh. In the coming 2-3 years, it is expected that with rising internet penetration growth of disposable income, and improved logistics infrastructure, the share of e-commerce logistics would increase in tier two cities as well. Next slide. Okay. In this slide, we have shown the next one. Yes, the value chain of delivery. Yeah. In this slide, we have shown the share of costs across different stages of movement of goods. The costliest one being the last two stages, line haul and last mile delivery. So I'm going to give a brief discussion of each of these stages. During first mile, products are dispatched from the seller to the fulfillment centers, or what we call as mother warehouses, depending on the type of business model being followed by the e-commerce company. It could be inventory model or it could be a marketplace model. At the processing stage, goods are sorted and processed according to the final destination. During line haul, goods are transported from the seller's location to the end customer's location. Last mile delivery. It is a very important part of the logistics stage where actual customer relationships are made. This is shipping of product from mother hub to delivery hubs, from where they are shipped out to the end customers. Last mile delivery is the biggest cost driver in the supply chain. As shown in the graph, in India, it accounts close to 50% of the overall supply chain cost. And globally, this figure is around 40%. It's costly and challenging primarily in tier 2 and below cities in India. Why so? Because when a buyer orders a product from a remote region, so in tier 2 and below cities in India, these are kind of cities which are not as developed as metro cities. The road infrastructure, rail infrastructure is comparatively less reliant and time consuming. So when a buyer orders a product from a remote region, it becomes hard for the business to maintain the same efficiency and speed of delivery as in urban areas. Also, factors like poor infrastructure, incorrect marking on the products, long journeys, long commute time between the orders, they add to the last mile delivery costs as well. Single package deliveries are more troublesome. High cost and fuel is involved in one delivery itself. Also, when the product to be delivered falls in the category of fragile electronics or large items, again, this exaggerates the cost. And obviously, with ineffective last mile deliveries, accumulation of stock happens and there is loss of funds as well. One more important point, which adds up to costly last mile deliveries, is customers' delivery expectation. They expect to see real-time tracking of shipments, regular updates, proper communication with the delivery boy, and receiving the package as per their convenience. So there is same-day delivery, within 2 hours delivery. So e-commerce companies and their logistic counterparts, they need to invest heavily to develop an efficient, customer-friendly last-mile delivery system. I'll be moving on to the next slide now. So here I'll be covering the recent trends, the key trends and developments which are observed in the Indian logistics sector. The first one being the implementation of goods and service tax. So GST was implemented in India in July 2017, and it is observed to have a positive effect on e-commerce logistic industry. 3 positive outcomes I'm going to talk about today. First positive outcome being reduced transit time. So with the implementation of GST, there is no longer a difference between interstate and intrastate sales. So it has kind of created a common market throughout the country. The uniformity of tax has therefore eradicated the need for interstate checkposts, significantly altering and speeding e-commerce logistics in India. Second positive outcome is significant reduction in the paperwork. Well, in India, we have a lot of paperwork in every kind of industry, and logistic, it has been very time consuming, and a lot of efforts have been put by the companies to prepare a proper paperwork sufficient to as per the industry. So earlier, a lot of trucks were stopped at borders due to pending paperwork. Now with a single document available, here we call it as e-way bill, it has become easier for logistic carriers to carry out deliveries much faster. So what is an e-way bill? As mentioned in the slide, an e-way bill is an electronic way bill for movement of goods to be generated on the e-way bill portal. A GST registered person transporting goods which are more than 5,000 rupees in a vehicle has to generate an e-way bill on the online government portal. The website link is there. The third positive outcome is consolidation of warehouses. Very important one because it has kind of reduced the supply chain costs for logistic providers. Instead of managing multiple warehouses, several companies have shifted to a large central single warehouse to reduce the administration cost of multiple small houses. The second key development that we have observed is the changes in the FDI guidelines that the government has put forward. So in 2018, Indian government capped FDI in subsidiaries of e-commerce companies at 25% in inventory-based model and allowed 100% in the marketplace model. So this change in guidelines has kind of increased demand for office, warehousing, logistics spaces, and also the volume of deliveries via road, rail, and postal. We expect it to expand with the coming of these guidelines. In 2017, the government granted status of infrastructure to logistics sector. So this has helped the sector in terms of earlier access to loans and lending, access to larger amount of funds from ECB, which is external commercial ECB external commercial borrowings, and eligibility to borrow from IIFCL, which is Indian Infrastructure Financing Company Limited. Moving on to the next one, last mile connectivity. Well, it has been one of the key challenges for e-commerce logistic industry, as I've discussed it earlier. The solution that the logistic industry providers in India have come out with is the partnership with the small mom and pop stores in India. In India, we call them as Kinara stores. I'm going to briefly give an overview of what this delivery model kind of looks like in India. So in this delivery model, mom and pop store model, partnership with them, order is placed by the customer at the store using mobile or shop partner. Once the information reaches the warehouse and the order is dispatched to the store partner, customer collects the order from the store. So it's kind of, the retailer is involved in between customer, primarily from a tier 2 city in India, because these customers, they are not, they do not have regular access to internet, or they do not have regular access to smartphones, or they do not trust, paying or putting up orders online. So they kind of go to the retailers, the vendors that are present in their cities or their villages. They place their order over there. The products are delivered at that store, and the customers collect that parcel from the store itself and not at their houses. So here, the kind of last mile delivery challenge problem is somewhat solved, because the loss of parcel during the way, or searching for the address, that kind of effort and time, it's greatly reduced with the retailer coming forward in between. As shown in the table on the right, Amazon, a big companies, e-commerce companies like Amazon, Myntra, and Amazon, Myntra, Flipkart, they all have started tying up with mom and pop stores. So the numbers here, they speak for itself. So Amazon has tied up with 20,000 mom and pop stores. The company, they utilize these stores as the delivery points in order to enhance delivery infrastructure. So they've also started training these store owners for facilitating first-time internet users for placing orders online, just as I've mentioned earlier. Flipkart, again, with 27,000 stores partnership in 700 cities. Again, Myntra with 9,000 stores in 50 cities. So all these big e-com companies, they're coming forward and partnering with small Kinara stores in India to facilitate their orders in tier 2 and below cities. In this section, we would be discussing the key challenges that the logistics sector is facing in India. So one of the biggest challenges here, high rate of returns by end customers. Logistic companies, as the graph shows, they expect the overall return rate of shipment close to 30% of all the shipments. Primary reason here in India being wrong item received, product not matching, and damaged product. In 2018, the average cost of shipment to end customers, it stood at 65 rupees, and the cost of return shipment, reverse logistics, was at 75 rupees, bringing the loss of approximately 145 rupees for the overall process. So if a product is delivered and then there is a return request put in, so for a retailer, for a seller, there is a total loss, fixed cost loss of 145 rupees approximately. So now the average ticket size of online purchases in India is close to 1700 rupees. And now with this cost of logistics and reverse logistics of 145, the cost or the loss comes out to be 8%, which is kind of unviable for the e-commerce companies to operate at such a loss. So the return cost is one of the key challenges that the logistic companies, both e-commerce and logistics, are facing as of today. The second key challenge is obviously to reduce COD orders. And in India, COD orders are like huge. So almost more than 50% of COD orders comes from tier 2 below cities, and it is the most preferred mode of payment by online shoppers in India. Key challenge associated with COD, just as I mentioned earlier, with high return rate being a challenge, prepaid orders are observed to have lower probability of return in comparison to cash on deliveries. So if there is a prepaid order and not a COD order, the loss to a retailer is kind of mitigated. Also, if the COD, if there is COD on the orders, and retailer has to plan and develop capabilities to collect cash from the delivery point. So in a way, they have to kind of train and also look after the delivery person who's coming and getting the cash from the customer on time, and this being credited to the retailers. So that kind of is an effort-consuming process and time-consuming process from the retailers. And steps taken by companies to improve the situation is kind of two we have observed. So value limitation on purchases, and also training the last mile delivery to process payment using cards at the delivery sites or collection centers. Again, with the value limitation on purchases, Snapdeal, Amazon, Flipkart, all three of them has a fixed amount until which the customers can go for COD orders. So it's 20,000 for Snapdeal, 50,000 each for Amazon and Flipkart. Okay. Key logistic players in the e-commerce logistics market. The e-commerce logistic industry manages approximately 57 million shipments per month. It's kind of around 2 million per day throughout the country. 50% of these shipments are managed by the in-house arms, or we say as captive arms of e-commerce players, which is the company's own logistics and delivery service, such as eCart for Flipkart in India and Amazon Logistics for Amazon. So currently, in-house logistic arm of large retailers, they execute the most number of shipments. This is followed by the e-commerce focused players like Delivery and Ecom Express as shown in the slide. And then after comes the traditional logistic service players. Top 4 companies in terms of shipment, managed and revenue are eCart Logistics, followed by Amazon, Delivery, and Ecom Express. So these are the 4 top-notch logistic companies who are right now operational in India in terms of revenue and shipments managed. Now, I would like to invite Mr. Piyush from Snapdeal to discuss the impact of COVID-19 on e-commerce logistics in India.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Vinita. Seeing the impact of pandemic on industry globally, we see that logistic industry has been impacted very badly, where most of the shipments are lying on ports or say at their primary origins and warehouses. And these locations are getting choked due to unavailability of picker staff. If we start from China itself, during lockdown, that is from 24th of Jan till 26th of Feb, long-haul trucks movement has reduced to 15% only, that is from the last year. So we have seen a reduction of 85% over there. Even in European countries, where the effect is that much, that impact on logistic by the news that European Union trucks made a 37-mile long line on A4 highway after Poland closed its highway with Germany in mid of March. Even if we see the ocean freight rates and the freight movements, that has been reduced to 10% in first week of 2020 as compared to 29. That has resulted in the higher execution cost at warehouses and their outbreaks. No doubt that outbreak of pandemic, the COVID-19, has proven to be a boon for e-commerce industry in India, where logistics is having higher market share of retail logistics linked to e-commerce. Based on recent data, e-commerce have 16% stake in Indian logistics, which is going to be 28% by 2025. Why India is very different in analyzing the impact of COVID-19, I'll say that citizens in India have more faith on brick and mortar stores, which allows them to touch and feel the product. Now, coronavirus outbreak, which actually spread by touch if killing virus is present on the surface, resulted in change of perception of many customers. Many of consumers are avoiding crowded marketplaces and restricting themselves to step out of their houses. This is the reason Indian e-commerce platform is seeing tremendous increase in first-time users, that is FTUs. On 25th of March 2020, Big Basket, which is a giant e-commerce startup that is delivering groceries to doorsteps, have posted a message on its platform that we will be back soon. We are currently experiencing unprecedented demand. In light of this, we are restricting access to our website to existing customers only. Please try again in a few hours. Many of other competitors have same message present on their platforms, allowing their platform available for existing customers instead of breaking it down in desire of more and more customers. Big giants like Reliance and other big giants of the industries of Indian markets are trying to invest in small platforms, either to take over their business completely or getting benefits out of it. Recent example in this is NetMeds, a pharmacy startup that has recently been acquired by Ambani's. Ambani's is also entering in the e-commerce world, where they have launched a grand, they had a grand launching ceremony for the JioMart, which is again a big clue that how the Indian e-commerce industries are growing. Logistic focusing mainly on touchless deliveries these days. That is the major impact that has been there after the breakdown of this pandemic. The major logistic partners are opting for contactless payment modes. As a result, e-commerce payment platforms are expected to grow up to around 25% in 2020. Most of the e-commerce platforms are seeing increased load, Big Basket, Grofers, Amazons, Flipkart, Snapdeal, and many of these are getting even double the number of daily requests and final orders. Main focus of industry is on essential items like groceries, household items, medicines, etc. Hence, logistic platforms are focusing primarily on hyper-local deliveries, where more stringent guidelines for slotted and same-day deliveries are required to fulfill the increased demand of essential material. This is because shelf life of essential commodities is pretty less, and most of the products in essential items are not returnable to the origin. Adding to this, many firms like Amazon, Big Basket, Swiggy, Zomato are trying their hyper-local setup, which is already in execution to deliver the essential items, to deliver alcohol, which is actually was not allowed before this pandemic by the Indian government. Now the Indian government has provided the required permissions to some of the e-commerce giants to deliver the liquor to customers' doorstep. Even government ban on Chinese apps. So there are some tensions going in between the international borders with China. So there has been ban on Shein, Club Factory, and other external e-commerce industries or external e-commerce players that has shifted customers to homegrown platforms, where these platforms are seeing higher customer demands on categories like fashion, low prices electronic gadgets, etc. As per International Financial Corporation, many of the world's developing countries spend around 25% of their GDP on logistics to maintain supply of products to various parts of their geographical reach, whereas in certain developed nations, it is still 6 to 8%. In India, logistics have tremendous growth opportunities due to sharp decrease in automobile and heavy transportation options. Markets like India have their logistic primarily focused on e-commerce platforms, which is on sharp increase. The e-commerce retail logistic market is valued at 1.35 billion USD in 2018 and is projected to witness a growth of 56% in coming 5 years. I'll stop myself here and forward the chance to Saurabh again to pass on closing remarks, and thanks everyone for their time.
Thanks a lot, Piyush. We would be now be doing Q&A sessions. So we have received some of the questions from the team members. So let me quickly go through them and answer them one by one. So some of my Piyush, jump in wherever you want to add into anything.
Sure, sir.
So one of the questions that we received is that, is there a trend where e-commerce deliveries are made across states or across different regions or India? Or is it mostly within each state or within each city? So in other words, do customers buy from merchants who are very far away?
So,
Based
Saurabh,
on
I'll add on this. I'll try to answer this question.
Sure.
So, if at most of the platforms where customers are buying the goods, most of the e-commerce platforms are trying to present the seller's current location. So, based on the reach and availability and the shipment cost which customer has to borne, we are allowing most of the platforms are already displaying the cost that will be borne by customer to get that product from that particular seller. And we are adding the reliability of that particular seller on the platform itself. So for example, if one particular product is available or getting sold by 5 different sellers, one is set up in Gujarat, one is set up in Karnataka or at different places, we are showing that how much cost customer has to borne to get that product from that particular seller and how much reliability is associated with that particular seller shipment. That I hope that this answers your question.
Abhish, if you can just add in that, have you observed that people still go for those orders where there's a cost associated, or they prefer to order when there is no cost? Say it's from a local seller.
So, Saurabh, I'll say that most of the customers are relying on the cost metrics if the product brand is same. So most of the platforms are sending, means like it depends if the product is having the same brand and that brand is having a distinctive value. For example, I'll say if we are trying to buy an Apple iPhone from 5 different sellers, and if I am getting that phone at a minimum cost from a particular seller, I'll go for that because post delivery care has been associated or taken care by Apple itself in all those 5 sellers condition. But if that depends on a local product, so for example, a bed sheet or a sofa cover, that depends on the reliability of the seller, how much rating is associated with the sellers, so that we can say our customer can act on the product's quality or decide on product's quality. So that's a basically that's a distinctive decision which customer actually makes.
Okay. Thanks, Abhish. I think that makes a lot of sense. I'll go to the next question. Okay. So we mentioned that mom and pop e-commerce model for smaller cities. So has the lockdown disrupted this because consumers can't go to these stores? So in the very beginning, what was the issue was that even the e-commerce sector saw a dip because only delivery of the essential items and the ordering of essential items was permitted by the government. But once the lockdown started easing up, especially in the green zone and orange zone, which were defined on the basis of the active cases in the particular area, so many of these mom and pop store partners are in tier 3 and tier 4 towns, where most of the towns were in the green zone. The people were still able to go to those stores and place orders. One of the key things that we were discussing with Piyush as well on this one. So this not only acts as a place where people can place order and get order, and also act as a buffer where companies not only try to deliver the same product to one customer, try to deliver that particular product to multiple customers. So that way the possibility of return and possibility of the rejection of the shipment decreases significantly. So yeah, this thing has, yeah.
One more point to be added here. If as Vinita said, that these mom and pop e-commerce partners are most of the Kirana stores of India. So all those Kirana stores were open during the lockdown also because they are, so point that has been mentioned in the question itself, that how we, I mean, like in what time we expect to recover them. So there is no point of recovery because there is no slowdown. All those stores were open during the lockdown also.
I think Vish, you're making very valid points. Thanks a lot for taking this up. Okay, I'll go to the next one. So is the boost in online orders expected to continue, or is it not a pandemic trend? So this particular COVID has changed the way people think, I think for a very long term. Many people, even though where the stores are already open, where there are no restrictions in terms of visiting, people are still preferring to order online And as we were discussing with the e-commerce players, and Piyush can also weigh in on this. So they have seen that their delivery has gone at least double. So where the shipments were being managed on a monthly basis was around 1 million, on a daily basis of 1 million shipments were being managed by the tier 1 cities. Now that number has increased to 2 million shipments per day. So of course, a lot of this is because of this pandemic trend, but it is expected to stay this way because the thinking and buying behavior of people have changed for long term.
Yeah. So I'll again add some points on that. See, if we analyze the market trend, it basically depends on the perception of customer. So if once it's very hard to break the perception of customer which are relying on touch and feel. If that is getting breakout due to this pandemic, which I have explained, that most of the Indian market customers are relying on brick and mortar model where they are having access to the physical product. Now, if this is getting broken, so again, we are saying that most of the customer which are coming to us are FTUs, that is first time users. And we are hoping that they will be relying on our platforms and getting and using these platforms to get those products delivered to their doorstep in future also. So this pandemic is proving fruitful in breaking their perception that is not correct as per the current industry standards.
Thanks, Rishi. So we certainly believe that this trend, though started because of the pandemic, is going to remain there for a long, long time.
Correct.
Okay. So the next question is: the key players look quite entrenched. Do you think there's still space for new e-commerce logistics player? So as I mentioned earlier, as of now, India's share of logistics as a percentage of GDP is still very, very high. So that means that there is actually a big need for new players to come in and help the existing players or start up a new delivery system where they are able to actually decrease the last mile connectivity costs or decrease the overall logistics cost. So there's a huge opportunities as of now that exist in the logistics market. If we observe the recent trends and development that has happened in the sector, many players such as Amazon and Flipkart have actually acquired the business models of this mom and pop stores through other players, where they actually acquired these businesses to develop this capability. So there exists a huge market for new players to come in the logistics sector.
So again, Saurabh, I'll add some distinctive information here. So if we focus, the major players which are mentioned in the sheet, the e-commerce logistic platforms like etc., delivery. So these, if we are targeting the tier 3 cities as the Snapdeal is doing right now, we are actually partnering with the short partners, with the small partners like Shadowfax, Amazon, etc., who are providing us the services at the very minimal cost, because they are not having that much infra to manage that is there for these big giants. Now, adding to that advantage, if I'll give some quantitative analysis for that, that is, as it was mentioned in sheet, that a complete cost of processing the forward journey and the return journey was approximately 145 rupees in last year, where they have seen it. In Snapdeal, as of now, this complete cost is reduced to 65 rupees only. So that is only because we are integrated with the small partners who are providing their services at very low cost. And still, I'll add one more thing. Those small partners are in profit. That is the main thing. If we see the trend of the bigger giants, they are losing money because of managing this higher infra that they are linked with. However, the new partners, the new logistic companies, those are relying on the delivery and managing the cost optimally.
Thanks, Piyush. I'll move to the next question. So it's somewhat related to the previous one. If Singapore business want to enter India in e-commerce sector, how to go about, how can we partner? So with coming as an e-commerce player, so that will be very challenging because this market, as we discussed earlier, is primarily dominated by like 63% of the market is with just two players. And these players, as Piyush mentioned, are losing a lot of money. So they would basically, any new player who wants to enter e-commerce sector as a player, then it's very challenging unless they are into niche sector. Like there are some brands in India like Nykaa, Baby Chakra, First Cry, these are small players, but they're targeting very niche sector. They still have a market. But if someone is coming into logistics, so there's a huge opportunities that lies in this sector, because still a lot of tier 3, tier 4, tier 5, tier 6 cities where these companies want to enter, want to expand their businesses to, still there's a huge gap in terms of the logistic requirement. So if a company is entering, if a Singapore company is entering the logistics sector, there exist huge opportunities, and they can partner with some small local players to build up upon their existing capabilities, because these players are already in profit and already have some good solutions which they can offer to a new player coming in. Okay, there's another question. I think it's directed to me in any case. So you mentioned that logistics cost will drop from 14% to 10%. So yeah, is something that is, of course, is going to happen, because government in itself is trying to do a lot of things to bring it down. But logistics is a pain point for both companies as well as for the government. So government wants to improve the infrastructure, reduce the time which takes from one city to another city. Companies want to invest in IT structure. They're bringing in blockchain technologies to ensure that a lot of things are more streamlined. I think Piyush can also actually share some information on this one.
Yep. So it's a very simple logic behind it. If the volume goes up, the cost will come down.
Yeah. So yeah, of course, economies of scale is also.
Directly, we are saying that. Correct.
Yeah. Okay, I'll go to the next question. So most big e-commerce players have their own captive logistical arms. Given the trend towards hyper-local delivery, which is visible in other countries, 24-hour delivery, it is likely that third-party last-mile delivery section will boom. Will new third-party logistics companies growing to support e-tailers too small to afford their own captive logistic arms? So it's a very interesting question. So a lot of deliveries, captive arms, which of the existing players, they are doing this because that kind of has become their need. They're still struggling because many of the local players, existing players such as the Blue Dart, DHL and all, they still are not able to develop 100% solutions for the e-commerce focused deliveries. So that's why many new small players have come in, like Ecom Express, Delivery, which are only focusing on the e-commerce logistics. So there's still a big gap which is needs to be fulfilled by the new players to come in, and who can target these tier 3, tier 4, tier 5 towns, or even in some cases come up with new solutions in terms of the IT or something else to get the business going. So even if the small retailers also want to have their small captive logistics arm, but they find it easier to work with the players who are focusing on this thing, focusing only on the delivery. That way, they don't have to manage the infrastructure, and these players have built a reputation over the period of time to do the things in a low-cost manner as well as in an efficient manner. So I hope I answer this question because it was quite a long question. Please.
Yeah, Saurabh, just a minute. Yeah, last point you added, that the low cost and time management. I'll say that e-retailers, those are way small to afford these hyper-local deliveries, are not opting to invest that much infrastructure or money on setting up the hyper-local delivery logistics firm. So if we see that a hyper-local delivery logistic setup and the way and the retail logistic setup is way different and require different kind of handlings. So in hyper-local, we need to manage the warehouses where we can store those essential items or the hyper-local items which are about to expire in few hours, and focus on their deliveries as much soon as possible. And if those has been expired, we need to make sure that only the items which are in the primitive limit to resell, that those items only we invest on the return instead of returning each and every item. So that complete structure requires a different software architecture, different infra in itself. So any small retailer investing that much on money on trying and testing the hyperlocal setup is way away from the reality. So it's better if they work on the hyperlocal external partners for some time and see what benefits and how they are approaching the hyperlocal deliveries. Then only they invest on their own infra, own logistic partner to start up with.
Yeah, Piyush, very valid point. I think we can even see that the players who have this capital logistic arm, which is Amazon, who has global experience, and they can actually use the learnings from other countries and bring those kind of solutions here. Similarly, Flipkart, which is also have a lot of investment from other foreign players of the similar industry, is doing that. Many of the smaller e-com players, I can understand, would be not very willing to do that kind of investment in a sector where they're not entirely sure and they don't have a skill set. Yeah, thanks a lot for adding these valid points.
Yep.
Okay, all right, we'll go to the next question. The touch and feel buying model was primarily cash for the sales outlet. What is the working capital model in the e-commerce world? Okay, so I think it's kind of addressed to the partnership with the departmental store. That's what it feels like. So basically, the objective of partnering with the departmental stores, if I am understanding this question correctly, is to ensure that the people are able to place orders at a reliable place and the orders get delivered at that place. So that way, the packages are not lost. It's easier to collect them. Like Piyush mentioned earlier, that first-time users is something that is very hard to get. A lot of companies, e-com companies, invest a lot in order to get the first-time users to convert them from the brick and mortar customer to the e-commerce customers. This pandemic has already pushed a lot of those customers towards the e-commerce model, and once they see the products, they see that it's not that different from buying from the brick and mortar store. It would actually change the perception of those players, or sorry, those customers. Earlier, when they wanted to see a product before buying it, once they will see that ordering from online is as reliable, as safe, and as secure, I believe that this touch and feel perception that many people have will go away, and they will continue to order online. Yeah. Okay. If you want to add something to this?
Yep, that's it.
Okay, so I believe we have answered all the questions. If there are any more questions, I think we have another couple of minutes. Any other questions coming? If not, then Marie, I'll let you take over and wrap this up.
Okay, well, thank you everyone. Thank you very much for again joining us on this very interesting topic that we discussed today. I think we've got a lot of insightful information. Thank you, Piyush, for joining us on this webinar. Also, thank you everybody for your questions. I think it added another layer to understanding the industry better. If you do have more questions, or if you can find out more about the space, or even going to India, please do visit our website or send us a call. We can be found on Facebook, LinkedIn, and we will post out this video after as well. So thank you very much, and we see you again at our next webinar.
Thanks,
thanks a lot, everyone. Thanks a lot, Marie, for wrapping up. We hope to see you everyone soon. Thank you.